Hey listeners, just a warning, this episode contains descriptions of violent incidents that may be considered triggering to some. Listener discretion is advised.
Are we starting yet?
All right, kids, welcome to Bingo is Life. The podcast, live from high above the mean streets of Harrisonburg, Virginia. I'm Jay Zare. I took my happy pills tonight. Woo! So we're good to go. We get joined by the fabulous How to Show brothers.
Hola. Hello.
To my right, as you watch the action on the screen, over here we have the real Dan Easley.
It's my honor. Your honor. It's somebody's honor.
Mum Shackles, the one and only. Hello. In the co-pilot seat, and we also have coming in here shortly in the Silent Dave chair, a celebrity from all the way on the other side of the block.
Is it the 2802?
2802.
Yeah, maybe.
Are we getting some kickback from Silent Dave? Why does he get named?
He paid for the chair.
He did.
Okay.
He did. Yeah,
How was Bingo?
Just making sure.
How was Bingo, kids?
It was great. The crowd was perfect.
It's one of my
This is the favorite kind of crowd to have.
Nobody said any bad words or anything.
That's right. No one said any bad words, especially the hosts, part-time hosts. No, it was awesome. Like, you can have too many people or not enough people. Just the right amount. The Goldilocks group.
Yeah, no, and it was, and there was enough new people. They were like, "What's going on? This is weird. I'll play."
Yeah,
and that's my favorite.
Yeah, it is. When people are hesitant, like, what's going on? What is it? And they ask you to talk, and they're like, no, that's okay. And then after the first game, they'll come up, can I just grab a card? Yes, it's that easy.
And then when we have a couple games in which there are multiple, like we'll do a paper airplane contest in the last game, in which we ask people, hey, come support or come on up to the bowling lane. And they all came. It was like a nice...
to support the friends who are trying.
Yeah. And
did they win? Did they win the $100?
It's a fantastic question. So... She rolled and missed completely. Didn't hit a single pin. So the crowd desperately wanted her to try again. Yeah. So I said, sure, try again. And she absolutely killed it. She knocked all the pins down on the next roll.
On the next roll.
Yeah. I got $100.
And no, everybody
got the pizza.
She got the pizza, and then everyone was like, "Give her more, give her more." So we're like, "Hey, $10."
Strike's not a spare's not a strike. Right?
That's right. Spare's not a strike.
Real quick, we're talking about Bingo is Life in person at Ruby's Arcade, our proud sponsor.
Yay!
Tuesdays at 7. Thank you, Ruby's. Tuesdays at 7:30 in downtown Harrisonburg.
All right. We also had in the What's in the Box prize.
Oh, yeah.
It was very cool this evening.
A little side sponsor tonight.
Yes, a little side sponsor.
On the side.
Our very own Court Square Theater provided some... Oh, no, that's not
the right button.
That's not the one.
No.
Yeah. Some free movie passes.
Yeah, some free movie passes tonight.
Yeah. Fantastic.
We got some fun stuff coming up in December,
Coming up on December 9th, this Saturday night, the final X2 comedy series stand-up.
Home for the Holidays.
Home for the Holidays.
With all your favorite local comedians.
Featuring the late edition of Jay Zare, the third best ex-Mennonite stand-up comedian and ventriloquist.
Your free movie passes will not work for that event. But
you got to pay
come to that event anyway.
$20.
Oh, wow.
Use those free movie passes to come see a movie.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Yep, we got It's a Wonderful Life.
Do you have It's a Wonderful Life?
Yeah,
There's pedals.
The 20th through the 24th. That is Christmas Eve.
That's fantastic.
Chris, you were in the birthplace of Jimmy Stewart not long ago.
I was. I went to his statue and I
this is Jimmy Stewart.
Telling you to cross the
Across
road.
the street, yeah.
Yeah, when you cross the road, you hit the button that says, "Hello, you can cross now." I swear that's what it says. It says, "Go ahead." This is Jimmy Stewart.
That's like Mr. Ed, man. Yeah. That's Mr. Ed.
I love it.
Well, how did the puka cross the road?
I've never tried to do Jimmy Stewart.
Well, don't try again.
Oh!
Whoa, come on.
You should try a Mr. Ed impersonation, though.
Real quick.
Why the long face?
Real quick, Chris, the Tom Petty tribute featuring Yesterday Jay and Crab Action.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And so many more. Folks, the date is official, February 16th at Pale Fire. I have currently, and I'm going to stop getting any more.
Please.
We have 27 acts.
Yeah. 27 acts. The show will
An
be
outburst
8
from the
hours
Silent
long.
Dave share.
I have 27
I'll be singing very quickly.
acts. I did the math. We'll be fine. But it's going to be
It's gonna be a 2-hour show.
packed. Oh, no, it's going to be 3.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's 3
we're
hours.
7 to 10. 7 to 10.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
So,
Anyways,
February
16th.
16th.
And I'll be talking
And the,
way more about it.
is that Valentine's
It's-
Day?
No.
No.
It's 2 days after Valentine's.
Yeah.
And the first thing that our guitarist asks is, can I play 2 songs?
Oh, yeah, I know. No.
I want to play
guitar
into the
players.
great wide open twice.
Yeah.
Should we bring in?
Hey, I'm excited about our guest we have tonight. Ooh. Yeah. Me too. Yeah. She is a Harrisonburg entrepreneur. She has some pretty fantastic businesses and projects she's involved in. I asked her to come on tonight because she's got a fantastic ghost story dating back to the Blue Nile days, where she worked with my old boss, Mark Finks. He's the one that told me the story, but he was like, this chick has done some research. And he didn't quite say it like that. That's me editorializing, but some research on this story, and I'm excited to hear her version of it. And tonight we have Lauren Penrod.
Hey!
Welcome aboard.
Fantastic. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Sorry, I hate the word entrepreneur. I should
Oh,
have
I'm
said
sorry.
that.
Okay. No,
No, it's
No.
okay. It's just, the people that use it about themselves are always like
Oh,
Elon
yeah,
Musk types and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
They're very
Yeah.
good spellers. Though.
I don't.
She's a hustler, okay? She is a hustler.
And
I don't like words that end with "nur."
Well,
It's definitely French,
Yeah.
right?
There's manure, an entrepreneur.
Ever since that Norman conquest, it's really kind of spoiled me on all that.
I hate about it.
I used to live in that building where your
In the Norman
Delicatessen is.
Conquest?
No, oh yeah,
Midtown.
I'm jumping ahead. You have the wonderful
back
deli,
young.
the deli.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Give us a plug.
Yeah, Lola's Deli. I own
Yay.
it with Logan Strauderman, who I met because I found out that he wanted to open a deli and I wanted to eat at a deli.
Perfect.
Kind of a match made in heaven, yeah. But he's the head chef and inspiration and all that stuff, and so he's the kind of in-house guy, and I, do all the stuff on the computer.
Right.
Yeah.
I've only been there maybe 3-4 times, but it's been awesome every time.
those sandwiches
Yeah.
are succulent.
Yeah.
I had a friend come into town. I said, "You got to go there downtown for
Mm-hmm.
lunch."
Yeah.
That's he used to live here, and I was like, "You got to hit the deli. It's totally worth it."
Did we say the name?
Lola.
Lola's.
Okay.
Lola's Deli.
Lola's Deli. Speaking of living in your business, I think both you and I have spent a lot of time at 20 West Water Street.
That's what I was going to say, because I have definitely spent the night there before, and I'm sure since you owned Down in Campus at one point, which was there before Midtown, for a very long time, I shopped there too. I'm sure you spent at least one night there.
It used to be the Sanitary Lunch. Did you know that?
No, wait, was that the name of the bar?
No, it was a restaurant called the
okay.
Sanitary Lunch. And my predecessor in the record store, Eddie Sager, said that occasionally, like a little old man would come wandering in and say, "Please make me a sandwich." So you're gonna have to wait 25 years till the deli opens
Right.
up over in the Caesar building.
Time machine. It was called what? The Sanitary Lunch?
The Sanitary Lunch, as opposed to the
reassuring.
unsanitary lunch.
Right.
Okay, so when you opened up Midtown Market, or
Well, I reopened it.
you
It had been
reopened-
open for 3 years.
Right.
Tim Brady.
Tim Brady
Yeah.
and Dave Miller. Not
Okay.
the Dave Miller
Yes.
from Dave's Taverna, but
Not the Dave Miller.
From You Made It.
Dave Miller from You Made It.
Yeah.
Young Dave Miller. Although none of us are young anymore, so but
Sorry, Dave.
I think he's younger than me though, so I can't talk. So they owned it for 3 years, and I think both of them had like other ventures that they were doing, and I think we're not as interested in like keeping it open. But I was bartending next door and was very interested in keeping it
Yeah.
open because I was like a frequent customer there. I was like,
I see.
There's a theme.
Yeah, there is a theme.
yes, I basically just try to open businesses that I want to go to.
That's good. That's excellent.
And so yeah, and like it was kind of perfect timing because I was 29, and which seems I felt so old, and I was like, oh, I'm too old to bartend anymore. And of course now that's how I met Brittany, is bartending, because I just hopped back into it at 43. But yeah, so I felt like I didn't want to bartend anymore, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I was too far removed from college to really do anything, and I was like, oh, I guess I can just open this business that they're selling that I shop at because I know how to do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
It's
But,
probably not bad advice, right? I mean, I like shopping at this kind of store. I should open that kind of store.
Just keep your finger on the pulse of
Right.
yourself.
Right.
When
That's a whole other podcast, Dan.
Oh, sorry. Well, all
That's a
right.
late night.
when
Self-check by Danny's Lee.
in Town and Campus Records is
Oh,
where I
God.
met a young man named Grant Penrod. I believe he was a sophomore in high school. He used to come into the store. It was Robbie St. Hours and
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Farrington and all that crew.
Yep.
And
Funny.
so my question is he a lawyer who is a rock musician on the side, or a rock musician who's a
he's-
lawyer on the side?
Yeah, the latter for sure, and also skateboarder.
Skateboarder.
Right.
He's. I can't remember when he started skating. It was when he was little, but he's still skating and injured himself skating outside Wonder at the event. Just
No.
but he'll be okay. I don't. He doesn't think he broke anything.
Did he get the skateboarding laws changed? Because I remember when I was a kid, like, oh, you're not allowed to skateboard. They'll get so mad at you if you skateboard. And now I go on campus and I see motorized
Right, the
skateboard.
electric ones.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think that had to do with him, but you never know. He's very powerful.
Wow. I wish my wife talked to him. He's power. He's got a podcast.
Right.
No.
Apparently, it takes law. You need to get into law.
Oh, is that all I needed?
that's it.
Oh, shoot.
Where there's law,
some sort
there's
of power.
power.
Where there's law, there's power.
All right. Well, speaking of law,
Yes.
let's talk about people that broke the law,
Ooh.
and it led to an amazing ghost story.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Let's see. Okay. Try to think of how to start. So yeah. So
At the beginning.
that's a good.
Is there murder involved?
Yes, and I am not going to go into a huge amount of detail on the murder because it's gruesome and horrifying.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Can we find it on the internet?
you can.
Okay.
That's how I found it, and
okay.
it's much easier to find now than it was in 2008 or 9, whenever it was that I was researching this. But yeah, so I was working at the Nile, and it would have been 2009. So I was working there. I was bartending downstairs, and fellow by the name of Westway that I'm sure none of you have heard of.
Oh, that was a joke.
That's what we call it.
Grayson, if you're listening, Grayson, that was a joke.
Also, Joel might be listening.
Oh, Joel.
We're trying to make the better episode this week, Joel.
Right.
Go ahead.
Sorry about that.
So you're fine. So yeah, Wes and I think we're talking one night about the fact that sometimes the music would just turn on randomly downstairs. So, but this was back when I'm still trying to remember what this was called. Was it an iPod?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and which
What were those things we used to use, man?
You would touch them.
Those magic boxes.
well, and at the time, like I didn't even have an anything.
Yeah,
I
right,
barely had a cell phone, and so
You know, it's somewhere in between 8 tracks and Spotify.
Yeah. So I didn't know how to use it, but I thought it was just me. But no, apparently it was. This happened to many people, and Wes, who had worked there longer than me, was telling me how, like, oh yeah, lots of people talk about how the music turns on by itself. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And so
And just for point of reference, you said this was at Blue Nile,
at the Blue Nile,
which is now the Golden Pony.
correct?
Yeah. okay,
Previously,
just make sure.
Valentino's. And,
Yes, there's a history.
Yeah.
I think we did a trivia.
yeah, all right.
episode
Continue. Let's
with
share the
history,
ghost story.
Yeah,
Keep
yeah,
going.
okay.
Keep going.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was one night, I think it was a Sunday, and I was working by myself because, Sundays are generally one bartender nights. And it was pretty slow. I think I had sent any staff that was there home. And I was just kind of like cleaning up by myself, like slowly just whatever. I always turn the music completely off if I'm closing because I've been listening to music the whole shift. It starts like reverberating in my head, and then I find it hard to
Silence is
sleep
beautiful.
afterwards.
Yeah.
So I had the music off, and it turns itself on, and it's like at full blast.
Oh, okay.
Playing The Police. I don't remember. I wish I could
Every breath
remember.
you take,
That Police.
every move you make.
Which, speaking of crab action,
of
they
Those
just did a
spirits
cover.
in the material world.
Wait.
Think about the lyrics. Think about the lyrics of that.
What did,
No, shouldn't I?
yeah.
I've
what did
been
they do a
watching
cover
you.
of?
Oh, I see.
Every
Crab
breath
Action
you
did a cover of The Police for Halloween.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was super
Whoa,
fun.
so
They
connection.
played it at the Pony.
I'll be watching you.
Sending out an SOS.
Oh, was that what it was?
No, I don't remember what it was.
Mark told
But
me
that would have been
was
a good
the song
ghost
that
story.
that I just had.
I think
Oh,
because
Or it was What Becomes of the Brokenhearted. Like,
wait, what was the
That's
first
not
one
The
that you thought it
Police.
was?
no, I know. But that was the other song. Like,
Okay.
but I'm not going to jump ahead. I don't want to give away the story.
No, wait, what? Because I don't remember what it was.
The
So what
Righteous
did
Brothers?
Finks think it was?
Police.
I'll be watching
I'll
you.
be watching you. And then the other one was What Becomes of the Brokenhearted. Who else?
Is that Sam and Dave?
No, it was definitely the
Righteous
Police because I
Brothers?
remember
Okay.
being freaked out
Yeah.
that it was the
Yeah.
Police. But yeah, I don't remember. Maybe it was I'll be watching you. If I told somebody that's what it was, then that's what it was. I don't
Yeah.
trust my memory.
I've been
that far
analyzing
back,
the
but-
lyrics since you told me that story. And I'm
Well,
like,
and that was the thing. When
good.
I wish I still had them, but I had printed out the lyrics to the song so I could analyze them.
Yeah.
Because after that happened, I can't remember if it was Wes or somebody else, but somebody had told me that, oh, well, somebody was murdered in this building. And I'm like, okay, I take it with a grain of salt. But I have this joke business that is very serious to me called Midtowne Detective Agency.
Wow.
It was a dark and stormy night.
And I have fake employees that, pretty much like any one of my friends that helps me, quote unquote, solve a mystery. Like, you're a chief detective.
Does Dave Scott write novels about you?
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's what you
Shenandoah, what's her-
Barbet.
Yeah,
Barbet, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's our reference to episode number.
Oh,
40.
I have to go back and listen then.
Good.
So, I decided that this was a case for a Midtown Detective Agency, and so I had taken a quick class on how to Google things, and, and I was pretty impressed with my Googling skills, and so I did all the quotes and in all caps and the minus and this and that, and was finally able to find this person because basically I was looking for somebody murdered at this address and I didn't even know really when it was, other than I think if it was Wes that told me or somebody else, they thought it was like the 60s or 70s. It ended up being like 83, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, go on.
No, you continue.
So basically I did all this fancy Googling and found a link to an article in, I don't think it was Harrisonburg, I think it was in North Carolina, because I'm not able to read the DNR for free. So
You're not missing
Thanks,
out. Really.
DNR.
You mean you didn't hear about why they had to cancel the tree lighting ceremony in Dayton? Front page
What?
article.
No.
I didn't hear about
Hold on.
Continue
The
on.
answer is rain.
Was it rain? I thought it was rodents.
it was the raining rats.
It's raining rodents.
So I found this article that said that they had found the guy who murdered this woman. I did not realize that, one, okay, so this murder actually happened, but two, the guy was not caught for 24 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, well, I think maybe it was like 22 years, but he wasn't taken to court and all these other things and sentenced until it was like 2007. I don't remember when the Nile opened downtown exactly, but it was around that time, and I kept thinking, like, this cannot be a coincidence. So I'm doing more and more research, and now that I have names of people, obviously it's a lot more easy for me to find information. So I ended up finding one of the court documents that was, essentially like a PDF of a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo that Grant probably could have told me about, but I'm trying to think. I think I had met him at that point. Yeah, I had met him, but we weren't close enough for me to open up about Midtowne Detective Agency.
Yeah, you hadn't told him about the agency. Have you heard about the agency?
I didn't want to scare him off.
Right.
One thing at a time. So yeah, I found a PDF of some court documents, and that was when it went into very graphic detail about what happened. And so, like I said, I'm not going to go into the graphic part, but I will go into the stuff leading up to it, because that was pretty awful and probably more common than people thought at the same time. So above, the way that the Golden Pony is that the downstairs basement connects via a staircase inside and also outside to the main level. So it's like a double-story restaurant, and then up above there's apartments. Well, before they were apartments, apparently it was like a hotel, and I kind of got the impression that it was one of those like short-term rental type places, maybe not hotel.
Yeah.
So a woman was living there with her boyfriend, and they were both in their, I think, mid-20s, and they were hanging out one night with another gentleman who was also living there, not with them, but in the same building. And the two men decided that they were going to go get a 6-pack of beer. And so they left and walked to some place that was not Midtowne Market because it wasn't open yet. But probably a similar place. They bought a 6-pack and came back and they drank it. And I'm not sure if all three of them split it or just the two of them, but that's besides the point. They drank it. And the boyfriend, I'm just going to call him RJ because I can't remember his name, but I think his initials were like RJJ or something. So RJ had hurt his foot on the way back. And I guess he drank the beer, was hoping it would make him feel better, maybe, who knows. Of course. And then decides that didn't work and he needs to go to the hospital. And so he gets his friend, whose last name was Pope, so I'll call him Pope. He gets Pope to call him a taxi and to loan him $5 so that the taxi can take him to the hospital. So somewhere in the time between Pope gives RJ the $5 and the taxi actually comes, the $5 has disappeared. RJ has lost it, and he's freaking out. The cab is saying, figure it out. And so Pope says, yeah, just go. We can't find the money. So this makes RJ angry, and so naturally he takes it out on his girlfriend because that's the, response that's appropriate there. So he starts beating her pretty badly. And in some time in the tussle, I got the impression that the beating lasted a while. Sometime in that period that this was going on, the $5 was found. And he still continued to beat her. And so he was, if I recall, using like feet, hands, fists, everything. She was pleading for her life. Then she was pleading for help from Pope. Pope apparently just kind of stood there watching in shock. Then eventually he runs out of the room to try to get help, and a female neighbor saw RJ kick his girlfriend in the head. At this point, she's on the ground. kicks her in the head, and he said something before he did it that was like, can you curse on this? No. Okay. I'll use the word brat, but it's a B word. So he says, according to this witness, say goodnight, brat, and then kicks her in the head.
Oh my God.
Right. And like
We need to give a warning before this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't worry.
Probably a good idea.
Don't
Trigger
worry.
alert.
No cursing, though.
And keep in mind that I am like leaving all of the gruesome parts out.
Yes.
So
Wow.
if that tells you how awful this
This
is,
sounds horrible.
which reading it made me horrified, and then also made me realize, like, no wonder there is a ghost. Imagine how much energy is left after something like that.
Yeah.
And
So is that the end? I mean, he kicks her and then it's...
well, then he runs off and leaves. She is unconscious. Somebody, I think it was the female neighbor, ends up calling the cops or an ambulance or something. She gets taken to the hospital. She never comes out of the coma, and she ends up dying. I can't remember how many days later, but wow. And he ran off apparently to North Carolina, and was, from what I understand, in and out of homeless shelters and things like that. Never.
And what year did this happen?
This was 1983.
Oh, the year that the police broke.
Really? Oh.
Making that up.
Tell me this story. This gets better and better.
I suppose.
There's a real synchronicity there.
That's what you did there.
1983 was the year I rolled back into town. There was, I'm surprised. I don't remember this story. Which no, I'm not surprised that there was not a well covered story. The more prominent murder was there was 2 people shot to death in front of the Kavanaugh Hotel in 1983.
Well,
That is a violent year.
yeah, that was the year I was born.
The year you were-
Wow.
There was a fire in the maternity ward the year I was born.
Was that you?
The day I was born. I don't know. Anyway, in Christ, whatever. But yeah, the part of the story that had hooked me was like, the music. And Mark had said maybe he spun some things, because he was saying that the music changed after. It was always the same song, and then it changed after the guy was caught.
I forgot about that.
Whoa.
Which I was like, that is a great detail.
That is a tiny exaggeration.
Yeah.
But you know what it was? Wait, I'm trying to remember now. I thought for some reason that it changed to the police after he was
that
caught.
makes sense. And maybe the first one was what
The
becomes
criminals?
the broken-hearted.
Maybe that's where that
the
comes
way I
in.
remembered it, but
Yeah, I don't remember.
Did anyone ever see the ghost?
Oh no.
Just a music fan.
Well, so the I don't know how you put it. The theatrics of the ghost, I guess, were mostly involved with music. But this totally freaked me out. So the night that Brittany was at the Pony and I was working, and came over, dropped some food off, and she asked me, "Oh, do you want to talk about this ghost story I heard you know about?" I'm like, "What?"
yeah, I was on a blind date, but then Lauren walked in and I was like, "Hey, you're cool." You,
That poor day.
Oh, I know.
no, I'm just the worst date. That's it. I'm like, hey, yes, we can hang out, but I'm gonna hit on the way to. So,
Yeah.
Got to talk about this podcast thing.
Well, and it was great because I was originally like, I'll think about it. I don't know. And then, I gave her my number, and by the 2 hours later, she had texted, and I was like, yes, I will do it.
Yeah, very good.
So something happened that evening?
So I went back to the kitchen, and at some point, check on somebody else's food, and one of the kitchen staff was joking around about the pony ghost, and I was like, oh no, that's so funny. Like, I was just talking about the pony ghost to table 301.
There is no table 301.
That table left years ago.
So these kids that I'm working with are like, early 20s and stuff. And
They're awesome.
oh, they're totally awesome. And really, it is like rejuvenating working with young people. I love it. So I was telling them about that and just was like, yeah, this woman wants to like interview me for a podcast or something. And they were like, wait, there's actually a pony ghost? And I was like, what are you guys talking about? Yeah. So they're, of course, just like, oh, tell us everything, Mm-hmm. So this is before I had Googled stuff and like refreshed my memory. So I'm like telling, like the bare bones story and getting most of the details slightly wrong. And I'm like, how when you're telling a story and you kind of like look off into the distance or whatever because you're picturing it in your head. Yeah. So I'm in the kitchen looking off into the distance, and where I'm looking happens to be where the mops are hanging on those like hook things that, latch them in. So this mop is hanging with like a rag and a pair of gloves. Like it's this method to keep the mop in where it's supposed to be.
Yep.
And it works. And I'm talking about what the ghost had done and how we're all freaked out. And suddenly I'm watching the mop just slowly like fall out of its little place,
the little holder,
and then crash onto the ground. And I was like, no. This is why I do not like this. And of course, the kids I'm talking to are like, oh my God.
Right.
That was the ghost saying, go on that podcast and clean it up.
Yeah, right. And stop calling me Pony Ghost.
Nile ghost.
Laura, what's your paradigm for something like you mentioned the energy that was left? And I mean, there's multiple explanations for.
Well, I'll say,
possible
I never believed in ghosts, but I believed in something. And I think when my grandfather died, who I was incredibly close to, he was probably the person I was closest to in all of my family. And when he died several years back, I remember one time I was still like grieving pretty heavily, and I was driving, and he had taught me how to drive. I was driving down the street toward my house, and I just felt like arms around me, hugging me, and it was such a wonderful feeling, and I was so happy, and I really felt like he's with me right now. Like he's with me, and I talked to like a therapist about it. I talked to some friends about it who had also experienced death of a loved one, and kind of came to the conclusion that like, that energy doesn't just go away just because the person goes away. And so somebody like my grandfather, who was like such a positive force in so many people's lives, had so much energy, and it kind of makes sense that would linger a bit. And I feel like for this woman, Sharon, she was this woman who, like, for no reason other than being with the wrong person, had her life brutally taken, and in such a horrible way, and over $5, which was found. I mean, that part gets me too. Yeah. It's like, there's just so many things about it. And then, again, it's like, being beat with hands and feet, and not just shot where you're instantly kind of, one would hope, at least if you're shot, you're instantly put out of your misery. I guess depends on where you're shot, but I won't go down that road. But anyway, so yeah, it just, I just feel like, it kind of makes sense that there's a lot of like extra stuff hanging around. That maybe sometimes
psychic residue.
Oh, you talking about your car with your grandfather, man, that resonates. I bet that resonates with everyone that's lost someone, in my guess. But I know that for myself, I can remember really well listening to a song that a friend of mine, it's the last song we listened to together, and I remember, and he had died, and I was like, holy moly, he's here. Like it, like that feeling of he is here is eerie. It wasn't like, I don't think it was like, I'm good now. It was more like, Oh my God, he's here. I mean, it's like his is, but it also was amazing. I mean, like it also ended, and it was, it was like, that's something that happened, and that could, the mind is amazing.
It really is.
I mean, we fool ourselves, and we'll do whatever it takes to get us to tomorrow.
I know we're referencing a lot of past episodes, but that whole thing on grief,
Yeah.
You're
thinking of Mike Crokia's series.
Yeah. I experienced a lucid dream after death of a friend of mine. And in that, now I'm not a believer in the supernatural or anything like that, but like the lucid dream that I had, it was a lovely way for my brain to visit my friend for just a moment. Yeah. And it was so real. And even in the lucid dream, I knew that it wasn't real, but it felt so real that it was extremely comforting, and it was something I imagine happens to people who are going through grief.
Yeah, we all find comfort in different ways. Like
Yeah.
Sometimes people block trauma. That's a way of finding comfort.
Right.
Like
Or cats.
Yeah. Sometimes people have cats.
Meow.
Or
I just like the
hallucinate
cat.
cats.
I don't think I'm not dealing with anything. They're
We know you worship a cat deity, Dean.
How many cats do you have?
just two.
But one's really big.
Yeah, one's 18 pounds. He's a big boy.
Hey, this was so much fun. Can
This
we have you
was.
back?
To talk about what?
Here's the story, because I really wanted to talk about how you got started in your business. But businesses.
Yeah,
But we're
yeah.
kind of out of time now.
Yeah, sure.
But I'd
love to come back.
I would
This is
love to
fun.
talk about the businesses, because that is such a.
Right.
I think you basically made Laurenville.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
right.
Lauren's
Kind of what you've
businesses,
done.
Harrisonburg, if you have a mystery, she's got a detective. That's Midtowne Detective Agency on Water Street.
And we're plugging the Midtowne Market on 20 West Water Street.
That's right. It's still there.
Still there, selling all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah.
And solving mysteries.
Solving mysteries. How do you say that? again?
Lola's.
Lola's Delicatessen in the Kiesel building at the intersection of South Main and
Newman?
Newman.
Newman.
Oh,
Think about that one.
We're brought to you by Ruby's Arcade in Clementine in the historic Wine Brothers building. And that wraps it up for tonight. So we'll see you at 7:30 every Tuesday night, live and in person for Bingo is Life at Ruby's Arcade, and anytime you want to hear us on the internet for the Post Bingo is Life podcast. See you next time.
Bingo is Life, a post-bingo Harrisonburg podcast, is brought to you by the Brothers How to Show and our friends at Ruby's Arcade in downtown Harrisonburg, Virginia. If you've enjoyed the show and feel it's worth spreading a little joy in this world, please tell just one person that you like this podcast. Word of mouth, more than any other form of promotion, is how creative works get noticed and sustain themselves. Thank you, Andrew Hickey, for that bit of wisdom, and thank you, listeners, for being part of the fun.